About 2 days ago, I made a video saying that conspiracy theorist is a phrase the ignorant use to define the diligent. This video got about 32,000 views because a lot of people are starting to wake up to the truth. And in that video, I discussed the Matrix, and the company that Neo, Thomas Anderson, worked for was called Metacortex. And if you look at the X in the image, it's simply the XRP logo turned sideways. Now, where this gets weird, if you look up the name Thomas Anderson on the Gematria calculator, it comes out to 589. So this has been confirmed that when you type in 589 on the Jewish section of Gematria, you guys know Jews run the world. They have the majority of money out there. Why would it show this? Well, it shows Donald Trump, it shows ISO XRP, it shows a storm is coming, and Ripple the bull. Now, I don't think this is a coincidence, and here's where it gets even weirder. If we type in the word or the phrase Metacortex, it pops up as 674. Now, interestingly enough, is the first two phrases that come up as 674 is Ripple XRP, XRP, Ripple. So in this video, we're going to uncover some pretty strange things that we need to pay attention to. What's happening in Japan for Ripple's IPO, the likelihood of Ripple IPOing, what this would mean for the price of XRP. On top of that, what's happening with Bitcoin before the end of the year, some major price predictions. What Michael Saylor has to say about convincing Warren Buffett to buy Bitcoin, who's always been a Bitcoin skeptic. What Saylor also had to say about XRP in this same interview.
There's no security.
Bitcoin breaching above $93,000. We're getting into the Bitcoin price chart, Bitcoin's dominance, the entire altcoin market, where we are in this macro market cycle, the XRP to the Bitcoin price chart, and something strange that is happening right now with this XRP pump that virtually nobody's paying attention to. So if you guys hold XRP, this is going to be one of the most important videos that you watch all year long. So comment 777 if you're feeling blessed, if you're feeling bullish, and as always, if you're going to become the first millionaire in your family tree, confirm it by tapping the subscribe button. Let's run it. All right, bull runners, welcome back to the channel. So one thing that most people missed when they look at this post on Twitter that I made is on this ID card from Thomas Anderson that says Metacortex right here. He says he's a junior programmer, and this was issued in 1996. Now, in that exact same year, this is not a coincidence that the National Security Agency released this document to be made public called How to Make a Mint, the Cryptography of Anonymous Electronic Cash. And if I just do a Command F function and I type in Tatsuaki Okamoto, you guys can see this guy was referenced multiple times underneath the reference section right here. And if I just copy his name and I just do a simple Google search on him, this image right here comes up. Now, who is this guy? Why is his name eerily similar to Satoshi Nakamoto? And what does he have to do with anything? Well, according to certain articles out there, people have questioned if he's the mastermind behind Bitcoin. And who is this Tatsuaki Okamoto guy? Well, he's a prominent figure in cryptography with a storied career contributing to the foundations upon which Bitcoin could theoretically be built. His portfolio includes work on digital signatures, public key cryptography, and more, all of which are integral into the crypto market today. And just recently, we've been seeing a lot of Riddler accounts on Twitter start to wake up. For example, this one, which is his name backwards, he just changed his bio to say complete. He's followed by 17,000 people. This account was created back in August of 2023. And he just made this post a few days ago saying a gossip of completion sounds in a distant path, yet the completion is yet to come soon in the near couple moons. This has 1,000 likes, 167 shares, but beneath that it says a lone gate stands with these massive waves, potentially signifying ripple, water, liquidity, where certainty fades, the unseen tiptoes in plain sight. You can only look back and say, yes, those were good times. And so who knows if this is actually the real guy or if it's a troll, but he is quite the poet, I will give him that. In a neon glow of the future, a quiet revolution began to hum. It was the year when traditional currency felt the ground tremble beneath it as a new form of money began to reshape the very fabric of finance without a warning to come. And then suddenly, the numbers soared like unseen winds, lifting fortunes beyond reason, as if an ancient force stirred the market's pulse, with an image right here showing massive parabolic green candles. Now, could this be XRP's chart? Only time will tell. But what's interesting here is in this interview with Brad Garlinghouse, you guys can see I don't know if this was the CNBC or NBC logo with channel 6. Right here on the $100 bill, it says numbers 589. So media has been predictive programming us for years, whether it be through Disney, whether it be through Hollywood, planting symbols, planting stories, whatever it may be, into our unconscious mind to create the behavior of the masses. And so that's why if you travel all across the country, here's an example: Jinx 1 2 3 4 5 6. What? You got to break it, otherwise you owe me what? A soda. So most of these things we've seen as kids growing up, and there's so many other things we can think of to where culture is created. When culture is created, this is how they control the masses. So what they are doing right now through media companies is starting to indoctrinate the culture of digital currencies. And so you guys are going to see more bullish news leading up until the holidays. For example, I shared this in my other video with Yoshitaka Kitao, the CEO of SBI Holdings, saying Ripple and then SEC and then IPO and all this Japanese. So if we translated that, it said Ripple should prepare for an IPO as soon as possible after the SEC case is settled. So this is inevitable because Gary Gensler is going to be stepping down or getting fired by January 20th. And also PitchBook's algorithm has just analyzed Ripple and predicts a 98% chance of an IPO. Their algorithm has analyzed over 64,000 past successful exits of private companies by IPO or merger and acquisition since 2018. So this will be huge for XRP. And what's going to be even bigger for XRP is Bitcoin breaking above $100,000. Now, Kevin O'Leary just came out and said this. I obviously take everything he says with a grain of salt because he was promoting FTX, but listen to his thoughts on Bitcoin.
Bitcoin is going to hit $100,000 long before the holiday, I think. It's so close, and there's no resistance here. This is the crypto of choice for financial institutions and sovereign wealth. They don't care about anything else, just Bitcoin. And so the aspect of mining it gets more complex. Big debate about the electricity needed to do this. But at the same time, it's an alternative asset here to stay.
Weren't you over there in Qatar? There was something to do with a crypto conference over there. You had something to do with it?
Yes, I was there. We still do
was
not.
That the springboard?
Well, the truth is, sovereign wealth has still yet to get involved. People keep talking as if they are, not yet. But when they come on, this will go and go and go and go because they're agnostic to the price. They're going to hold it for 10 years.
Now, someone who's a little more respected in the crypto community and who's very, very intelligent is Michael Saylor. He believes that he could convince Warren Buffett to buy Bitcoin if he sat down with him. Check this out.
I'd be willing to bet you that if I had an hour alone with Buffett in a calm environment, I'd walk out and he would say, this Bitcoin thing's a pretty good idea. Charlie would have liked it. We're going to buy some.
Have you made the cold call?
I have not.
Why not?
Because Bitcoin's on a need-to-know basis, and people have to feel like they need to understand it, like they've got a problem in order to have an open mind. And if they don't acknowledge they have a problem, they don't have an open mind, and they take a conventional view toward the world, it's like the people with a strong corporate view and a healthy company and a strong conviction in their company, they don't have an open mind to a profound paradigm shift. They don't want to embrace that idea.
Maybe the call to Buffett could be seen as a public service, and you want to be a public servant. So if you were to make that public service phone call and you guys sat down and spoke and you went to Omaha and all of a sudden he comes out and says, we've made a decision to buy $100 billion of Bitcoin after my conversation with Michael Saylor. I think that's a public service.
I will say for the record, I'm happy to go visit anybody that has $100 billion of cash that's sitting and burning $10 billion of shareholder value a year. I will go visit you and I will provide you with all of the information you need in order to be convinced that you should flip to the Bitcoin standard.
Now, one thing that I find ironic in the same interview, he said this.
Could there come a time where you're pro Ripple and maybe even to the point that you recommend clients to it? Is there a possibility?
I'm Bitcoin only, 100%. Like the truth is, I wouldn't even recommend Apple stock. Like there's no security. I'm not going to recommend
0% chance.
Yeah, like I wouldn't recommend a security because there's a counterparty to a security. But the position is like if you came public and you had your own security or token or whatever you had, I wouldn't recommend you either. But it's not because I'm not in favor of your business. I just think that you have to stay in.
Now, the thing that's ironic about this is Michael Saylor is one of the most intelligent investors in the space, very, very wealthy. He definitely knows what he's talking about. He's very good at comprehending, explaining these complex ideas in a way that is fun to listen to, but A or B, one or two here, okay? Number one, he has just not done his due diligence on XRP and does not understand that it's literally the only token that has regulatory clarity. It's been declared not to be a security. So either A, he just doesn't understand it at all, and he's just ignorant about XRP. It doesn't mean he's dumb, he's just ignorant about it. Like, a car mechanic might not know how to build a house, but he knows how to fix a car. He's ignorant on building houses. And someone who could build a house might not know how to fix a car because they're ignorant about cars. It doesn't mean they're stupid. They just haven't spent their time researching it. So it's either A or it's B. If we scroll down the comments, he's knowingly misleading the masses. Now, I'm not going to confirm or deny that. It's just one of the two. So if we just scroll down here, people are saying they want everyone to put every penny into Bitcoin, and this is the promised land, to then pull the plug. Suddenly, the majority of the population has no money. The work is done. So people are saying he's a sackless paid shill. They're scared. He's dumb looking out for his Bitcoin. He's recommending Bitcoin, something that no one knows publicly who created or is behind. So that's the only thing that's really concerning about Bitcoin, is the fact that nobody knows who the creator is. This Satoshi Nakamoto character that most likely is probably someone or a group of people within the National Security Agency ushering this in and then using predictive programming to get people to buy into it through media companies and BlackRock and ETFs and all that stuff to buy Bitcoin. And the cryptocurrency that's been flying underneath the radar right now that virtually nobody's paying attention to is XRP, which is their ultimate plan. Brad Garlinghouse even leaked in an interview saying that early developers on Bitcoin created XRP to create something better. So be very, very careful who you guys listen to, because even with people with a lot of money, they need to protect their capital. And Michael Saylor has a vested interest to seeing Bitcoin succeed. So all he's going to be is all in on Bitcoin because he keeps buying billions of dollars of it. So why would he say otherwise? Like, if he comes out and he says, yeah, absolutely, Ethereum or XRP or Cardano or Chainlink or HBAR or whatever, any altcoin is great, then everyone is going to start selling Bitcoin and buying into other projects. So he has a bias here. That's why I take everything everyone says with a grain of salt. Even take what I say with a grain of salt, because I'm not a financial advisor. Crypto's very risky. You could lose money in these markets. These videos are just purely for education, informational purposes only. That way you could do your own research. I'm not going to tell you to buy or sell anything. I'm just going to share with you what I'm doing with my money. And if that's okay with you, we've been front running all of the institutions when Bitcoin was down at $15,000. We were spotting all of these altcoins early. For example, our research team posted GOAT on the 13th of October of 2024 when it was right at a penny, and since then it rallied to over $1 and is currently still up over 5,000%. That's like turning $1,000 into over $50,000. Our team called Pendle at only a $16 million market cap, or 16 cents, back on February 18th of 2023, all the way back here, and since then it's rallied up over 4,000%. That's a 40x. It's like turning $1,000 into over $40,000. Our team also called BitTensor Tau September 15th, 2022, before the token was ever even launched. And since then, Tau has rallied over 2,000%. That's a 20x. Our team even said Solana is most likely to be one of the easiest trades next year, and this was posted December 29th, 2022, on the day that Solana bottomed out at around $8. And since then, Solana looks like it's up over 2,500%. That's a 25x. It's like turning $1,000 into over $25,000. And the bull run is just getting started. The list goes on and on and on. Our team called Sui, Ondo, and even some of the biggest cult-based meme coins like MOG back in July 20th of 2023, the day that MOG launched. So if you want to learn how our team is finding these altcoins before they explode, we just launched Altcoin Pro University, where our research team gives you real-time altcoin picks with explosive potential for this bull run, along with 100+ expert curated classes crafted by industry experts to discover these gems yourself, on top of our live weekly calls every single week for in-depth crypto market analysis and daily updates. And that's just a fraction of what we offer inside of Altcoin Pro University through the link below. And although we make no guarantees because crypto is definitely risky, guys, this is only $97 a month or $970 a year. If you want to save $194, getting 2 months for free and unlock some exclusive bonuses, just go through the link in the description below. Get in right now. Watch the 26-minute video covering everything that Altcoin Pro University offers to help you become the first millionaire in your family tree. If that's a goal of yours, our goal is to help 1,000 members set their portfolio up for life this month. And you can get started through the link in the description below right now, or you can go to bullrunners.com to take advantage of the bonuses we're giving you before they expire. We have about 200 members right now, and we literally just launched like less than 5 days ago at the time of making this video. Everyone is loving the community. They're loving the education. They're getting access to real-time altcoin picks first before we ever make videos about them. So click the link in the description below, watch the video, and I'll see you on the inside. So now that Bitcoin is above $63,000 and XRP is hovering at $1.11, if we look at the Bitcoin to the US dollar price chart compared to Bitcoin's market cap dominance, we can see Bitcoin just broke out of this ascending resistance in this rising wedge. It's hovering right at the previous high of the 13th of November, and Bitcoin's dominance is breaking out. Now, one thing that's interesting is if we look back to the last time that this happened, when Bitcoin was in a rising wedge like this, and it just broke out and it breached above, $77,000. It went to 79. Look at what happened to Bitcoin's dominance on that breakout. Not even the breakout, in the rising wedge. Bitcoin's dominance was dropping while it was making higher highs and higher lows on the left-hand side of the screen right here. So very similar to what we just saw happen recently from the 14th of November. Bitcoin has just been making higher highs and higher lows while Bitcoin's dominance was selling off. And now as we see Bitcoin start to break out, we see the dominance breaking out as well too, above 60%. So in my opinion, as Bitcoin breaches above $100,000, if Bitcoin can breach above $100,000 and do a move very similar to what happened all the way back here and just start marching up, then it would be very similar to what happened right here for Bitcoin's dominance for a final blow off top before we see it peak out, inevitably Bitcoin's dominance to come down leading into 2025. Now, we don't know when Bitcoin's dominance is going to top out. It could run even higher into 2025 because when we look at these Bitcoin price targets, for example, Van Eck, head of digital, just said this.
We think it's just getting started. As we expected, Bitcoin saw this high volatility pump after the election. We're now in blue sky territory, no technical resistance, and we think we're likely to make repeated all-time highs over the next 2 quarters. The same pattern played out 4 years ago. Between the election and the end of the year in 2020, Bitcoin doubled. There were about 10% corrections, so it's not going to be a straight line, but we're up 30% so far, and a number of indicators that we track are still flashing green for this rally to continue. This is a state change in terms of government support. Look at this cabinet: the VP, Attorney General, Director of Defense, National Security Advisor, possibly even the Secretary of Treasury being pro-Bitcoin. That's not including Elon and Vivek. So the number of calls that I'm getting inbound from investment advisors who are at 0 and looking to get to 1%, or at 1% and looking to get to 3%, these calls are starting to accelerate, and we think the flows are going to follow. So our price target for this cycle is 180K. We think we can reach that next year. That would be 1,000% return from the bottom to the peak this cycle. That's still the smallest Bitcoin cycle by far. Google searches are nowhere near where they were 4 years ago. Coinbase's rank in the Apple and Android app stores, nowhere near where it was 4 years ago. Look at the internals of the derivative markets, what it costs for funding to put on Bitcoin futures trades. It's up, but once we get into this price discovery mode, it tends to stay elevated for quite some time. There's really 4 major impacts here. Okay. One is just the positive impact on dynamism when you stop suing people for breaking rules that have never been written down. That's a long way of saying that regulation by enforcement is going to end. We're already seeing the economic impact of that. There are crypto projects that are announcing that they're going to hold conferences in the U.S. for the first time ever, open offices in the U.S. and New York. It's just great for U.S. jobs and GDP. Right? We've got the Bitcoin reserve that would legitimize this asset as a reserve asset, pave the way for it to be used as a global settlement currency, as the BRICS countries have been doing. President Trump recognizes the synergies between Bitcoin and AI. They are 2 sides of the same coin. If you want to have cheap AI, you're going to want to combine it with Bitcoin mining to take advantage of that cheap power.
So this is very, very good news for the altcoin market as Bitcoin breaks out, because as you guys can see, the altcoin market broke out from 860 billion. Now it's at 1.2 trillion. It's coming back up to retest the previous high. Now, just like he said, we've been here before compared to the past. If we look back in 2020, we saw a similar formation take place. I've even brought up the relative strength index, the stochastic RSI as well too on both charts on the weekly to see if there's any confluence, some similarities there. For example, when the market broke out, right here on the 17th of August of 2020, all the way to $165 billion. It topped out. We saw this sell-off right here, and then we saw this consolidation phase as it built a base and formed higher lows, and then eventually broke that high on the 16th of November. And so on the right-hand side of the screen, we saw the same thing happen. We saw a high right here above $1 trillion, like 1.25 trillion. We saw a sell-off down to the low, and we've just been building a base since the 5th of August, forming higher lows. And when we look at the relative strength index on the left-hand side of the screen, during that peak in August, the RSI peaked out upwards of 80, and during that sell-off, the RSI came all the way back down here below the RSI-based moving average, formed a low, and then started bouncing back on out of here. It inevitably passed above the RSI-based moving average, and on that breakout, the RSI breached upwards of 82. And then we saw some volatility obviously up here, like a 20% pullback above the high. And inevitably we broke out well beyond past that for the rest of the bull run. That's what I'm expecting. When we look on the right-hand side of the screen, we can see right here in March, the RSI peaked out, same thing, above 80. It was at 85. All the way up here, we saw a sell-off. We saw the RSI come down, form a low. Just recently, we breached above the RSI-based moving average, sitting at 64. So if Bitcoin breaks above $100,000, I would just expect the altcoin market to break the high and to see the RSI breach above 70, inevitably above 80 before coming back down for some massive volatility, similar to what happened right here on the left-hand side of the screen. But when we look at the stochastic RSI as well too, in the bottom left, one thing we can notice is we saw a bearish or a bullish cross all the way down here below 20 on the left-hand side, very similar to what we saw just recently with this bullish cross all the way below 20 down here on the right-hand side of the screen. And right now we're in bullish momentum. So the fact that we haven't seen a bearish cross above 80 is a great sign, because the bulls are still in control. The K line's at 100, the D line's at 84. And just because we're above 80 doesn't mean that momentum is going to shift right away. In fact, when the K line was above 100 right here, while the D line was at 80, we saw a bearish cross form, but it was a massive fake out. And then we came even higher after this volatility shook everyone out the markets to scare them out, because we just started the breakout. So sure, we could chop here in the short term at the high before breaking out and see some volatility of like 20%, potential back test of the previous resistance leading into, December. But inevitably, I would expect the altcoin market to continue marching higher, because we have been in this consolidation phase for so long that it's time to let the bulls loose. It's time to run. Because when we zoom out, look at what happened on the left-hand side of the screen. Even through that price volatility of like dropping 20% from, the 23rd of November to the 28th of December for an entire month volatility, look at what happened after that. It was just parabolic price action to the upside. And so I would expect some volatility going into Christmas, but inevitably leading into January 20th, Inauguration Day, I would expect the markets to absolutely fly. Because zoom out on the right-hand side of the screen, look how far below the all-time high we are for the altcoin market. It's very similar to where we were right here before this breakout, when we were below the all-time high back from 2018. And so history is just repeating itself. Even though it's not identical, we can look at some other charts to give us some ideas here. One chart is the crypto total market cap excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum on the monthly chart right here, paired up with the Bitcoin stock to flow rainbow indicator. I showed this in a previous video. I'm not going to talk too much about this, but you guys can see where we are compared to the past when we look at the color code based on the days until the next halving. So look at when we transition from light green to blue. It was the complacency stage bounce. Now, in the last bear market, look at what we happened from light green to blue. It was the complacency stage bounce. So if we were to just draw a resistance from this level, also pair this with us transitioning from orange to yellow, we're in the second month. Look at what happened in the second month back in January of 2021. We broke through that resistance, and then 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months after that, we formed the high before the next major correction. So that could lead us into March of 2025 before the markets see a major correction. Maybe we see it sooner, maybe we see it a little bit later, we will see. But either way, this phase in the bull run cycle is usually the most explosive phase. And this is wave number 3 in the Elliott waves. We just finished wave number 1 with corrective Elliott wave 2. I talked about this in a previous video and I said, watch, wave number 3 is going to be the most impulsive wave. We're going to be revisiting this in a few months. Wherever wave 3 tops out at, then we see corrective wave number 4 come in, and then we see wave number 5, which is the end of the bull market. And I would expect that to be happening sometime between August to November of 2025. So wave number 3 is where the most money is going to be made. You need to be ready. If you don't have your bags packed, then I can't help you. You do not want to be buying the top of wave 3 because corrective wave number 4 could be very vicious. We could see, a 50 or 60% pullback. And by then it'll be too late, because listen to what Coinbase CEO is talking about. He's stating that crypto will become the next version of the internet.
Well, and so increasingly people are going to want broad market exposure to crypto. It's going to be the next version of the stock market, but it's also the next version of the internet. And so that's why it's so important for us to have launched this canonical market index, Coin 50, for people who want exposure to the broad market of crypto, not just one asset.
So you stack all of this on top of Trump getting into office. He wants to eliminate all capital gains taxes on cryptocurrencies issued by US companies. This would ultimately make all profits for Americans on holding crypto assets like Cardano, ADA, Algorand, XRP, HBAR fully tax-free, as their companies are created in the United States. So the source claims that the legislation requires the companies to have been registered as entities in the country before having issued the crypto asset. Yet there will be a path to relocate businesses with existing crypto assets on the market to the United States as well too. So this is a genius move by Trump to have crypto and America be the crypto capital of the world. Effectively, this would make made in America cryptocurrencies the most logical investment for US citizens, as they not have to spend up to 37% tax on their gains. It could totally reshape the crypto market. And this is why we're seeing the dinosaur coins like XRP, up 100% over the past 1 to 2 weeks. We can also see Stellar Lumens, XLM, up 80%. If we scroll down the list, HBAR is up over 100%. We can also see Algorand is up over 50%. Quant is up 50%. So I said this probably over a year ago. I said, watch the ISO projects when we get closer to regulation happening in the United States. The ISO projects are going to absolutely fly. And so we're starting to see that happen. While all eyes have been on Bitcoin, virtually what nobody's been paying attention to is XRP. Now listen to what Ron Paul had to say about Bitcoin, saying you can't tax money.
When you say, Dr. Paul, legalize the competition, what does that mean with regards to Bitcoin, and what role do you see Bitcoin potentially playing in that kind of monetary system?
Well, it would mean that, if right now, if you buy and sell gold, you get it taxed. They can do that. If you make a profit in Bitcoin, you read stories about people being taxed on it. You can't tax money. You don't tax it. If you bought $1 a year ago and it went down 10%, you can't take a loss because your dollar lost value. So it's the currency that if you compete with it, in some ways there's a little bit of that internationally, but nobody's allowed to compete at a national level. We're not allowed to compete with the currency. I know during the presidential campaign, a few of my enthusiastic supporters actually designed a coin, and they had my image on there, which was pretty silly. And they called it a Ron Paul dollar. They got into big trouble. They got in trouble because they could not use the word dollar. That was encroaching on the monopoly control of money.
But what is the main theme that you plan on conveying about Bitcoin when you address the conference on Friday? What is your overall perspective on Bitcoin?
Well, I won't try to explain exactly technically where it's good, bad, or indifferent. I will argue more the case for the legalization of freedom of choice. And the people should make the decision, not the government.
In other bullish news that we're stoked about is Kurt Stokes, awesome name, I know, who is an ex-Goldman Sachs employee, is now the sales director at Ripple. So as Ripple makes these partnerships, continuously brings on prominent figures in banking, in traditional finance on their team, on their board, then Ripple is just poised to absolutely dominate the market. Now, there's something weird about this XRP pump that virtually nobody's talking about that I mentioned at the beginning of this video. And what is that? Well, it's that Bitcoin's dominance did not tank with this XRP breakout. Any other time that XRP pumped over 100% in the past, it was when Bitcoin's dominance was tanking. You can check all the gray boxes right here. The last time that Bitcoin's dominance dropped was on the lawsuit news that XRP was not a security. So obviously Michael Saylor needs to fact check himself on that. But look at the time before then when XRP's lawsuit hit, XRP dropped and Bitcoin's dominance peaked out at that exact same time above 70%. And then it tanked down to 30-something% while XRP performed over a 10x. The time before then, XRP's dominance tanked from like 60-something% all the way down to like 30-40%. And XRP rallied for a blow off top. The time before then, Bitcoin's dominance was upwards of 90% and it dropped down. And then XRP boosted up from 0.005 to like 20 or 30 cents. And so what does this mean? Well, this means that this 100% rally for XRP is just a small taste of what's going to happen. Because imagine when Bitcoin's dominance peaks out, above 60-70%, we'll see where it goes to. And then when it rolls around, what happens when Bitcoin's dominance drops to 50%, 40%, even 30%? If XRP was able to do 100% without the dominance moving an inch, imagine what happens when the dominance finally breaks down. Now that's when XRP is drastically going to outperform Bitcoin. We've seen the first taste of that with this bounce off of this support right here that XRP was at all the way back in January of 2021, March of 2021, June of 2024. It bounced off of it. The next zone of support was all the way down here at these levels. We don't know if we'll hit that, but for XRP to break out for Bitcoin, in my opinion, Bitcoin's going to continuously do well leading into inauguration day. But right now we can see XRP is forming a double bottom trend reversal where we can see bottom number one in comparison to Bitcoin right here, bottom number two right here. We can see the neckline right here. So if XRP just holds its own and doesn't break back down below this resistance holding as support now, the next move for XRP to the upside, in my opinion, will happen when Bitcoin cools off somewhere above 100,000 and then Bitcoin's dominance starts to roll around. That's when we'll see the majority of liquidity flow into XRP's price and XRP could absolutely explode. Now, leading up until this, we've seen so many projects launch on the XRP ledger. For example, this project I shared with you guys when it first launched at a 16K market cap, and now it's made its third all-time high in a row today at over $1.5 million. That's over like a 60, 70, or 80x for this project. So if you guys missed out on this and you don't want to miss out on real-time altcoin picks, then make sure you plug in with Altcoin Pro University in the description below. There were a few picks posted this morning that already are up 2x. So our research team is constantly going to be posting picks this entire bull run. So make sure you check that out in the description below. Like I just said earlier, it's only $97 a month or $970 a year, 30-day money back guarantee. Nothing to lose, everything to learn here. Worst case scenario, you learn something new. We have about 294 members now. Let's cross 300 today. You guys are going to absolutely love it. Also, for those of you wanting to know how to stack more crypto before this bull run is over, we've helped 438 businesses fill out the 60-second application below to see what Visa and MasterCard took from their business between 2004 and 2019. And so far, they processed over $220 million, and we're getting them qualified to receive up to $3.8 million back. So if you guys want to see if you qualify for this and how you can benefit from it, even if you don't have a business, listen to this.
Hey bull runners, this is super time sensitive, especially if you're looking to stack more crypto before the bull run is over. Did you know that Visa and MasterCard lost a $5.5 billion class action lawsuit for imposing unfair fees on merchants and business owners? So if you own a business or if you know any business owners that process payments with Visa or MasterCard between 2004 and 2019, that's 15 years, you could actually be owed a refund of 1 to 1.5% of your total revenue from that period. That's a lot of money. For example, this business that generated $1.6 million in credit card revenue during those years is getting back $28,000. This business that generated over $7 million is getting back $93,000. And this business that generated over $20 million during those years is getting back over $320,000. That's money they didn't even know was on the table. And all they did was fill out a form through the link below this video. It literally takes less than a minute to see if you qualify, but you don't want to wait too long because the deadline to file is February 4th, 2025. So the sooner that you fill out the form below, the sooner that you can reclaim what's rightfully yours. Plus, if you don't have a business, you can actually earn 3% by referring businesses that do qualify by creating your affiliate account through the link below. So this is a no-brainer way to get money back in your pocket to use for your business, or if you want to use it for crypto or other assets to invest in, you can do that. So click the link below. Let's get you paid.